G'day everyone, welcome back. Today I'm excited to present the new Power Quickness Untamed build that can achieve solid DPS while maintaining 100% quickness uptime for your group. Now before you listen to the naysayers, ArenaNet has fixed the terrible clunkiness of Let Loose in the July 18th rebalance, which is very exciting. Now when we weapon swap, the ambush activates immediately, regardless of our unleashed stance. So keep watching for the build details and some really bizarre interactions within the rotation that you must know or the build just straight up doesn't work. First, let's go over how Quickness Untamed works. With the Let Loose trait, whenever we use our Unleashed Ambush, we give 5 seconds of quickness to the group. To achieve 100% quickness uptime as Untamed, you'll need to use your Unleashed Ambush twice within every weapon cycle. One ambush triggers normally when unleashing to the ranger, and the second ambush comes from weapon swapping thanks to the Let Loose trait. Now here's the really weird part. You must use the normal unleashed ambush before the weapon swap ambush. If you use the weapon swap first, you won't be able to use the normal unleash for 9 seconds. It seems that the weapon swap ambush from Let Loose overrides the internal cooldown of your normal ambush, but not the other way around. I don't know if this behavior is intended, or if it's just a result of some of ArenaNet's spaghetti code. Either way, it's what we've got, and it's not actually a big deal once you're used to it. So with that in mind, let's dive into the build quickly before I discuss the rotation and show you exactly how to achieve 100% quickness uptime and the best DPS. Alright, in this build we'll be using a hammer and a sword axe combination in our offhand, which I've found to provide the best DPS. The best skills for DPS are Frost Trap, Storm Elemental, and Signet of Fury. As for the elite skill, choose the one that suits your preference or the specific encounter, because none of them contribute to DPS much at all. In situations where your group needs more protection or might, you can consider taking Stone or Flame Spirits at a slight DPS loss. These are the traits you'll want to take for the best DPS. Again, if your group is in need of protection, you can take Invigorating Bond with only a minor loss in DPS. For equipment, aim for a mix of Berserker's and Diviner's stats. To achieve 100% quickness, you technically don't need any Boon Duration, but to maximize DPS we actually want to extend our rotation cycle out to about 13 seconds to fit in 2 lots of the Hammer 4 ability, which is our biggest hitting ability. Therefore you'll need a minimum of 30% Boon Duration, but I recommend closer to 40% to give yourself a small buffer, and then you can allocate the remaining stats into Berserkers to still reach the 50% crit cap. Stick with Rune of the Scholar and Sigils of Force and Impact as their standard choices for power builds. As always, you can check out the build editor link in the description for the details. So to simplify the rotation, I'll break it down into 2 parts, the ambush sequence and the weapon rotation, which we naturally alternate through. So you start the ambush sequence by unleashing to your pet. You'll then use pet 1, 2 and 3 simultaneously as quickly as you can, and immediately unleash back to the ranger. This will activate your first normal ambush. You'll then use your first ambush, followed by either Hammer 4, Hammer 2, or Sword 3, depending which weapon you currently have equipped. Following that, you'll conduct the weapon swap, activating the second ambush which you'll use immediately. This ends the ambush sequence and you'll begin the weapon rotation. So for the hammer rotation, you'll always start with Hammer 4 into Hammer 2 and Hammer 5, as those are your biggest hitting abilities. You'll then have a few seconds to fill, which you can use Hammer 1 rotations, or you can use Storm Spirit or Frost Trap if they're available. Once Hammer 2 comes back online, you use that immediately, and then that is your cue to start the ambush sequence again. Just like last time, that sequence starts by unleashing to the pet, using the pet's 1, 2, 3 ability, and immediately unleashing back to the ranger, activating our first unleashed ambush. We use the ambush straight away, and in this case follow it with Hammer 4 and Hammer 2 before swapping weapons and using our second ambush starting the next cycle. For the sword rotation, you always start with Sword 2, Sword 3, Axe 4 and Axe 5, which is nice and simple. You'll then have just a few seconds to fill before Sword 2 is back online, which you use, and then again that is your cue to start the ambush sequence again. So that's the rotation and the build. As you can see, I was able to do 27k DPS with 96% quickness uptime. I do note that was in mostly exotic equipment with no infusions, so I expect you'll be up above 30k DPS easily if you're fully geared. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and let me know in the comments if you want more guides like this. Cheers!